Welcome along to the show, everybody. I hope you enjoy what happens here over the next hour or so. And to find out who our first guest is, can I hand you over to our MC for the evening, the beautiful Fred Cook.
Thank you, Tommy. Well, our first guests are Leo Moran and Davy Carton.
I was thinking.
I know. You didn't have an idea.
No idea at all.
Good
False
to see you.
False
Great to see you.
False
Mighty. Thank you.
Sit. She's gone.
That stand doesn't fit it, but sure, we'll deal with that.
We'll deal with it.
I saw you on Market Street the other day, Leo.
Yeah, you would.
And
What was he at?
I know he looked deep in thought. But I didn't say hello to you. Probably just as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was probably daydreaming away.
How are you?
Grand.
Mighty.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Is it weird that the Sawdox thing is bigger now than it was when you were famous?
Well, obviously, absence made the heart grow fonder, and yeah, it's mad. We're very lucky that people stayed with us and wanted to bother to come back and see us after the break.
And how long was the break?
Oh, good question. We kind of stopped in 2013, and we had a few gigs then in 16 and 17. And then we came back proper then in 22, I suppose.
After COVID, kind of
Yeah.
blew over.
Yeah.
But then we got all young kids coming out to see us. Amazing. Class.
Do you either of you ever feel that it's almost a bit impersonal what you're doing, in the sense that you're there, you're singing, say you're in a tour and you're 10 days into the tour or whatever, and you're singing the song again, they're having this huge response and you're just...
I'm just fiddling over on the side making a few mistakes.
I'd never take it for granted. It's amazing every night for me.
Really?
Every day I have to think, no, this is day one. These are new people. Every day. And, you know, they deserve the best you can give. That's what I think, anyway.
That idea of you play to them as if they've never heard of you.
Exactly.
That's the effort you put in.
Yeah. Yeah, every day, if we can, like, you know.
Tell me about your voice and minding your voice, because you're kind of... you've a kind of a Susie Quattro.
I have, yeah. Can the can, is it?
There's a great huskiness to it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about how do you belt that out every night and mind it?
Yeah, well, you do get, like, every now and then you get, like, as singers do, you get laryngitis is a terrible curse for a singer, because you don't get any purchase at all in your voice. But I went to a voice coach a good few years ago now, and he taught me how to sing from here. And I never thought, you know, I used to hear this. So now I do belt it out, like, and he said to me, he had me singing opera songs, and I'm like, I never believed I could be, you know. And anyone from tune now, if they hear that, they're going to go, opera? I've heard them sing opera. No, but I do look after the voice as best I can.
And so, but in terms of man management after a gig, what do you do? What do you go through? What do you... Is it porter or is it...
Yes.
I just sit in the corner and drink a pint or two.
Yeah, you just love to have a quiet drink.
Yeah.
Like, we never drink before a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen people that are able to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of trad musicians are unbelievable. I saw a woman playing the fiddle one night after a gig in a session, and she was playing the fiddle like anything, and she got up to go to the loo and she couldn't walk. You know, so how do you explain that? What's in the brain that can do such a complicated thing and not such a simple thing? So some people can do it, is what I'm saying, but we can't.
No.
New songs. Are you ambitious with the songwriting then?
Oh, I just love to write one. That's it, like. But I mean, I don't know how to write a song. If I did, I'd write one on the way home in the bus, like. But it kind of has to come to you, you know, yourself. It's a strange thing. It's hard to explain it to people, but people who do it know what you're talking about.
We wouldn't have a formula at all. It's just pure luck, a lot of the time. Just pure luck, like.
Do you choose subject matter? Like, do you choose... This has to be about a recognisable subject for the Saw Doctors, or like if a song about Gaza or something came into you, are there songs the Saw Doctors wouldn't perform? Asking.
Well, I think if you felt you knew enough about it to sing a song about Gaza and you knew enough detail and knew where you stood,
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be out of the question.
Okay, yeah. What were the first few gigs like? Because I
Well, I'll tell you.
no, I don't mean way back. I mean in this.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were playing tiny little rooms
That's right, yeah.
in the Badlands, the psychiatric Badlands of East Galway.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. We started in Kilconnelly in the hall there.
Yeah,
Paul
it was
Devaney
great.
put us on, and it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Beautiful, idyllic village. People came from Scandinavia and Australia, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
And the hall fits.
Yeah.
300. And it was this beautiful summer's evening, and there's the pub, the church, and the hall and the shop, and that's it. And it was gorgeous. People loved it. It was an experience outside of the gig as well, you know. It's lovely.
Yeah.
So things like that, like, I live about 7 kilometres away from it. It's perfect. Can we do what you two do and bring everyone to Kilconnelly?
The Sphere.
I'd say I'm better than...
I know that you. So my awareness of it was that you kept working, and you were doing some shows with Anton
Pádraig.
Thistlethwaite
And
as
that,
well.
yeah.
And that you kind of went
I took...
quiet.
Yeah.
So when you were doing the stuff in America with Anto, where it was just you were playing houses, was it?
There's a circuit of you can do house concerts, yeah. One woman, I still get her newsletter, she had done 176 house concerts when we did ours. And she keeps doing them every week.
What are they
Amazing.
like?
They're very intense because when you arrive at a house concert, you're on stage from the moment you arrive.
Yeah.
Because the people are dying to see you, and you're in. It's very different. There's two different types of house concerts.
Yeah, okay.
There's like her, Kiki, in Wisconsin, and she runs a house concert where it's you can't collect money, but you can make a donation. It's a kind of a professional thing.
Yeah.
And then there's people that just love the Saw Doctors, and they think, God, we can get Leo and Anto to play in the house and invite all our friends. No, that's a trickier gig. Because
So if you're in the sitting room or at the bottom of the stairs. or
yeah,
something.
but you'd be surprised.
It's like playing at the stations.
Davey did me and Davey did a few as well.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised You'd be surprised how many people you fit in a sitting room with the right furniture. But this gig is very difficult because Uncle Seamus might never have heard of the Saw Doctors.
Yeah.
And there's Uncle Seamus and there's the 7-year-old kids and there's all this kind of
I told you, it's the stations.
non-focused kind of energy.
Yeah.
A different kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're very exposed as well. You don't have your
Totally.
band behind you, and
And you've nowhere to go when you finish the song.
and it's like, yeah, I might go to the toilet or something.
And the people are so hospitable, like they're
Yeah.
just looking after you.
But you're just trapped there beside the fireplace. Like.
And you sit down then after the gig for dinner with them. You know what I mean? And we're all chatting about the songs. It's great.
Oh my God, it sounds like it could be horrific.
Oh, well.
It is intense, but like I said,
Yeah.
because everybody wants to talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
So when you were doing these shows, it seemed like very much like a vagabond, minstrelly. Doesn't matter where the gig is, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
Was that so I'm a musician, I can do Fela down in Tip in front of 60,000 people, or I can be with Kiki from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But your thing was, I just have to keep going.
Well, I love the lifestyle. I mean, I always loved gigs, and I loved bands, and I loved going to gigs, and we had all the great gigs in Galway over the years.
Yeah.
Fair play to Pádraig Byrne and Tony Killeen for providing them for us. And when the Saw Doctors got going, I realised the gig is brilliant, like it's the best part of the day, but there's all this other part of the day which is equally brilliant. You know, there's the travelling, there's meeting new people, seeing different places you would never be otherwise. And I loved all that. So when that stopped, I thought, geez, maybe we could manufacture some kind of another way of travelling around and making it interesting. And I'd heard about these house concerts, so we kind of went for them. And then we got little folk clubs and all that kind of crack.
God.
Yeah.
So when he's off doing this and you're below radar, in tune, had you thought to yourself, if I never sing again with the band, that's okay?
No, I always had a feeling that I'd do it again. I mean, I just wanted to... At the time, now that I look back on it, it was great to just have a little break and just to have a look from outside, you know, because we were constant, and it is a great mind clearer to just have a look from outside for a while and then go, oh, I'd love to go back at that.
So how long were you quiet for?
I was off for about 4 years, 5 years, something like.
It's a long time, isn't it?
You know, yeah, it is like a long time. And when I came back, then it took me a little while to get, you know, because I had developed this thing where I never got nerves going on. But when I came back, I was like shaking coming back. And I'm like, you know, because I was thinking to myself, will I be, because I didn't want to go out and not be as good as I was.
Dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I was thinking to myself, have I got this? Have you got this? Are you okay? And when I went out gigging then again, I thought to myself, no problem. It was just like getting back on the bike, you know.
What worries did you have about going back to it?
But just that I wouldn't be up to it singing-wise or energy-wise, you know, because I had gone on a bit older and, you know, rock and roll, as you get older, you see some of the rock and rollers, they're able to do the rock and roll, but it slows down a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like going back to the old Ford Anglia instead of the you know, the 4x4.
And had you... So your only fears were, could you deliver? You'd know...
Yeah, I didn't want to be...
interpersonal stuff.
No, I didn't want to be a percentage down on the old Sawdox, like so, you know. And once we started playing and I got a bit of confidence, I was grand.
What do you think you owe the audience when you walk out on stage?
Well, first of all, I always think they pay their money to come and see us, to perform. It's only right and fitting that we go out there and give them our best, you know. I've always had that attitude.
But who defines what your best is?
Well...
Like, because if it's your best replication of what they're expecting...
We're our worst critics
Yeah.
as well, by the way.
Yeah, there's just some nights are just special, and you finish the gig and you go, God, that couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
Most of our nights are very good, like, and one of our early ambitions was on a bad night that we'd be fairly middling, and we kind of achieved that. You know, on a bad night we're not bad at all.
Yeah.
But we don't have many bad nights because by the way, we should say we've a brilliant band and we've a brilliant crew. And it's made awful easy for us to be good.
Yeah.
In what sense now? That, like...
Well, you don't have to worry about anything. The sound is going to be good. The musicianship is going to be good. The lights are going to be good. The stage is going to be proper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think far ahead?
No.
In terms of the band?
I'm thinking of a few beers on the way home the bus. That's what I'm thinking of now. That's about as far as ahead I'm going to think.
We have gigs booked to the end of this year and a couple of dates held next year because that's the way the world has gone. The venues are getting hard to book, so if you don't take them when you can get them, you won't get them.
Yeah.
But, you know, next year is another year. We'll do what we've announced this year and fulfil the
contractual obligations.
And that's it.
And give us everything we can.
Yeah. That's an amazing... So you're not kind of fretting about the future?
No. God, no. So we mightn't be here at all.
Why aren't you worried about the future?
I don't know. I never did worry about the future. I was nearly always in the present. Like, and that's it. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
My God, this is fantastic. You know, this is one of the best days I've had in my life. It is, though. You know what I mean? So that's the way I think.
That's a gift.
Oh yeah, I mean it's some people say it's stupid, but it's just the way I am anyway, you know.
So you're not worried about, okay, how do we keep the band going in 3 years' time? What are our plans for 2029? When are we going to...
The only worry I'd have about the future is we have a gig in Scotland now in May, so that's our first gig in front of people, so we want to be good for that.
What do you mean it's your first gig? It's first...
We haven't played since December.
Yeah.
All right, but you'll have a warm-up gig somewhere, will you?
No, that's going to be the warm-up.
They're the warm-ups.
Don't tell them that. This is in Scotland.
And how many people will be at the Scottish gig?
Oh, there's town halls, I don't know, 400 or 500.
500 is the first one, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's...
But even if we're bad, we'll be fairly middling.
Yeah.
But last year's first gig was fantastic, so
Yeah.
you never know. It's not all about being correct or
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know.
How do you put a set list together in terms of momentum and fast, powerful songs and slow songs and all that?
Well, I try and build it as best I can. You know, like as you said there, it's almost like I try and make it like a roller coaster. You know, so usually when you go out, bang, straight away, give them hell.
So, like, for example, what song might you start to think?
Well, Exhilarating Sadness is a great starter because there's a great great riff in it. And the whole crowd sings the riff to begin with. And that kicks the whole gig off then. And you can follow it with anything you want then, like you can throw in Joyce Country or whatever. So Tommy K.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like...
So, but they're all quite upbeat songs in terms of pace. So
then I kind of slow it into, kind of get it down slow into like songs like Share the Darkness, Same Old Town, any of them songs that are not, and Midnight Express, another one. And then you start rising, I start rising it again. Like you come out of there and you get into Red Cortina, and that's, they go wild for Red Cortina. It's one of the dark horses in the set.
Yeah.
I'm going through this like I'm boring you.
No, I love this. I love this.
No, but that's the way I love it. That's the way I do it.
So after Red Cortina, then you might horse into...
It Won't Be Tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mockness Parade.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're running out through I'll Be On My Way, Never Mind the Strangers.
Yeah.
You know, songs like that. Now, lately, since we wrote the new songs, I've been throwing them in there, you know, because they have to go in at the deep end.
Yeah.
Find out there's one of the new ones, you know, put it between Joyce Country and Never Mind the Strangers and see how does he fare there, like, you know. And
amazing.
It's just, they work, the new ones work in there. And then they're grand, they're blending in then. And
then how would you ride us home then?
Oh, you'd go, for the, hoping you'd get an encore.
Yeah.
Runner out there, you'd get, as I said, Never Mind the Strangers, last song of the night, then N17. And hopefully they'll shout for more.
Place is hopping.
We have to end with Hey Rap then at the very end.
The Hey Rap is the last thing of the whole lot.
Because we tried starting with it and it didn't work.
Why not?
We tried it one night at the start. Oh, I talk about.
It didn't fit.
You couldn't follow it.
It's a named song.
Yeah. We couldn't follow it.
What? Because it's too...
It's raucous and it's...
Yeah.
And it's...
Get that wasp off my sandwich.
Yeah, and the crowd were tired
bailing.
The crowd were tired after the first song, no more than myself.
It just didn't work. You had to try it, but it didn't work.
And you know yourself halfway through and after the song.
Yeah.
And would you turn to each other on stage and go...
Well, that was a mistake. There's 2 hours left, it's okay.
We'll win them back yet, like.
Yeah. We have a chance. We have a few other ones.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's a beautiful gift to have such legendary songs in the catalogue, isn't it? It's like a...
Yeah, we're awful lucky.
One of my ambitions when I started writing songs with Leo and stuff was, I had 2 big ambitions. One, I used to always, in my head, going to sleep at night, I'd hear the album. You know, I'd hear the songs on an album and I'd fall asleep. And another ambition I had was that I would love for us to have a song that people would still be singing in 100 years' time. And I think I've come very close. Well, I've got the album anyway.
So do you mean with the album thing of lying there in bed?
I used to lie in bed
and have a record player beside you and have your own album?
Yeah, I'd have it in my head, and I could hear the crackles on the record. I wouldn't get to the second track and I'd be asleep, so I never knew what was second on the album. So, but that was one of my things I used to do. And then we got to make an album. It was like, wasn't it magic? Oh, and I think we put 15 songs on the first album because we thought we'd never make another one.
All in.
All in.
Wow.
Everything in there, you know.
And you don't want to have it all about one song, and it isn't. Just when you mentioned that thing of a song that's going to be sung in... I remember when Galway won the All-Ireland final in, I think it was 2017, the hurling.
Yeah.
And they played N17 at the final whistle.
That's
and
legendary.
I wept, like, it was just...
That's legendary in itself, you know.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Magic.
But communal singing is awful important.
Yeah.
And we've lost the mass element. You know, people don't sing together at mass as much as they used to.
Yeah.
Well, not as many people do.
Yeah.
And gigs are very important for that, because it's just good. It's good for the heart and soul for people to sing together.
Yeah.
It does something to whatever, to your physiology.
You brought the guitar with you.
Yes.
As the fella says, do you have a song in your pocket?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna do Red Cortina.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, yeah.
I'll do a couple of verses and choruses of Red Cortina.
You're calling.
You can sing along. Forever. Do you remember you were on
Yeah.
stage with us in Sea Point? Do you remember that
tried
one?
to do hay rap. I think.
Walk this way.
Walk this way.
Do you remember that? It was great.
I'm actually tone deaf, so I'm not going to join in. Wow. Your voice is in great shape, man.
It's not too bad, sure it's not.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad, no.
Are you singing later?
Oh yeah, when you hear it, it's going to be gorgeous.
Magic. I'll be Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
What song are you singing later on?
Same old town.
Same old time.
It's going to be one of the highlights of our careers. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
Magic.
gorgeous.
When you hear it. I swear.
Enjoy the love, lads. It's big and it's real.
Yeah.
You deserve it. Enjoy it.
So that's mighty. Absolutely mighty.
Enjoy the love, like.
Yeah.
Thanks a million. Great to see you.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
And if I see you in Market Street, say hello the next time.
Welcome back to the second half, everybody. Freddie, who's next?
Tommy, our next guest is Kyla Cobbler.
Never be rid of me.
Welcome. Oh, great now.
Yeah, that was amazing, the Saw Doctors.
Thank you. Thank
Oh my
them.
gosh, yeah, they were class.
So for people who don't know you,
Yeah.
you're a stand-up, and we know each other because
We
we've
do.
been doing a bit of work together
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm delighted to be here. A little bit, but excited.
A little bit.
A
What?
little bit nervous. A little bit nervous. Yeah, yeah. It's my first time on television.
Really?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
CCTV or?
Once or twice, but never got caught, so I don't know if it counts.
How do the gigs in the Opera House go?
Amazing.
You sold out on your birthday or
Sold out
something?
my birthday, Monday and Tuesday night. Sold out the 2 shows. And debuted a new show as well, Not My Lemons. And I had done it in a year. I had to write the show in a year.
Yeah,
And I don't really write. So it was very nerve-wracking.
yeah.
And it was so funny because I was trying to base it on this story that had happened to me in Italy years ago. And I was like, this will be the story. And then I did that a few times in Work in Progress, and it just wasn't anything to do with that.
Yeah.
And I found a dead body as well in a hotel in Zurich. And I was like, this will be in the show.
This is the closer.
This will be the closer. Nothing, didn't even make the cut. Isn't that mad when you think about it?
Yeah. You have to tell that story now.
Yeah, I was in Zurich. So I went to Zurich to do shows, and I was like a self-check-in hotel. And
What is that?
it's just like a wee drop box. So you just go in and you beep in, and, you know, you just get the key. There was no receptionist or anything. And I get in there, and it was really smelly. It smelled like ham sandwiches. Like really strongly like ham sandwiches, like an old lunchbox.
In a bad way.
In a bad way. Not in a good way, in a bad way, would you believe? Although, you know, ham sandwiches means a party in Ireland. And then that went on for about 2 or 3 days, and the smell kept getting worse and worse. And I bought cleaning products, and I was like looking in the fridges and stuff, and I was like, what is that stink? And then on the 3rd day, I went for a big long run, came in, I was eating a whole chicken. Because I'm a tank, getting my protein in. I was eating a whole chicken. I walked in.
A whole chicken.
I just bought a cooked chicken on the way back from the run. Delighted with my 10K. And there was a Ukrainian gentleman in there, and he was furious. And I was like, you're right, what's wrong? Are you trying to check in? Because I struggled to check in because there's no receptionist.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, well, I cannot stay because the smell. And I was like, what's wrong? I was like, yeah. I was like, it's an awful smell of ham sandwiches. And he's like, this is dead body. And I was like, oh, right. I was like, you think it's a dead body? He was like, I know dead body. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And then he went upstairs, so I was staying on the 3rd floor. We got into the elevator. We go up to the 4th floor where he was supposed to stay. The elevator opens and there's just flies. There's like a truck or a box, just flies everywhere. And the smell was like engulfing. You ever smell a dead body?
No.
Yeah, it's gross. Very, not at all like ham sandwiches. Got that one wrong. And yeah, it was just disgusting. And then they called the police and everything else.
But what was he just, where was the guy lying?
No, he was in the hotel room. It was inside behind, it was a closed door. They couldn't open, because there was no receptionist, no cleaners, no.
Oh, you couldn't open the door to get in?
No, no, no.
So
no.
you got to the door and you smelled.
Yeah, yeah, and you knew like straight away. It was absolutely disgusting. It was so, so disgusting. And then I was like, oh, I can't eat this chicken. The Ukrainian guy was like, give me the chicken. I was like, you can have it, bro. I was like, I can't. Like, this is... And he ate it and all. It was so horrible. And then the police came and tried to stop me leaving. And I was like, look, lads, I'm not a detective, but this isn't a fresh murder. There's no way.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy took my chicken.
I was showing him the poster of my tiny comedy club. I was like, I've got 60 people waiting on me tonight. I gotta leave. I got things to do. Yeah, it was horrible. I left a review. That's funny too, right?
Oh, so...
Because no one ever gave me my money back. I wanted my money back for the haunted house.
Are you very clued into what's appropriate online in terms of... Are you an online woman?
I'm not an online one, so to speak, but I definitely know that a dead body is probably too much in a hotel. I'm not tech savvy, but like it wasn't a 5-star hotel, but it wasn't, you know, the water pressure was good. There was clean towels, but the dead body pushed me over the line. It was gross.
I hate to complain, but...
Yeah, yeah. I just wrote and I was like, what can I write to make people see? So I just wrote in big cap locks, dead body in hotel. And they never ever responded to me.
Yeah. So you live in Barcelona and you gig around Europe, which is a kind of like... that's really surprising to hear that there's a circuit there.
Yeah, there is such a small world now. I was in London yesterday and Paris the day before. Yeah, I took the train from Paris to London, then a plane here. It's so exciting.
Really, you're okay with all the travelling?
I'm wrecked. I'm wrecked. I went up to the makeup lady, I was like, you got time? Because this is going to be hard.
Yesterday.
Showed her a picture of my granny in her coffin. I was like, I want this level of makeup. I want to look alive. Let's go. Oh my God, I'm wrecked.
Really?
Yeah.
And you do that, but you do that every weekend practically?
Oh, but at the moment, yeah. Like even for me, it's been a very busy beginning of the year. But my career has moved. And now I need to just get in front of people.
What does that mean, your career's moved?
Like I started stand-up, I've only started stand-up my 4th year. And the first year, you're not really doing it, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh, I don't want to. And then I kind of committed to it. It was actually my grandmother passed away and I got to spend her last night with her, which was such an honour. My granny Mona. And I remember lying with her that night and being that close to, I'd never been that close to death.
Yeah.
And it's like a very different light. It's like an honour. I know that sounds strange, but it is an honour. And I was lying with her and I was like, I just really want to live my life.
When you say lying with her, what do you mean?
I was lying down with her in the bed. Like she was in the hospital bed, so we were there. Me and my mum stayed with her. And then in the middle of the night, we were trying to say the rosary, but we couldn't remember any of the prayers. It was so sweet. And I got to stay with her and, you know, just like touch her hair, because her hair feels the same. Like everything else feels a bit different, but her hair feels nice. And I was lying with her and she just created this incredible life. Like she was the first woman in her parish to wear trousers. Super cool. I come from a matriarch, you know, so I was just sitting there with her and I was like, I want to do this. I'm just going to go for it because I'm going to die. And that's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to die, so I'm going to try comedy. I'm going to go for gold. Because there's always just fear stopping me, you know. And then I went for it and it was like the universe just said, okay, now you get to do it because you made the jump.
Yeah.
Now we'll open the doors for you. So I just need to get in front of people. Because I know if I'm in front of someone, I can sell a ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just need to get in front of people. So
what is that? What is that knowledge? What do you know?
I know I'm funny. And I did it for years behind the bar. I worked in all these bartenders lighting cocktails on fire and serving you for €15. I worked behind like rural pubs where there was no music, 6 men who were miserable, and me.
Right.
I've done my crowd work. I can make men laugh. I can make people laugh. Old, horrible, sad men. If I can do that.
It's a great name for a show.
So then getting on stage and like and also because of course a woman in comedy, you know, like I never had any trouble with it, but people do a little bit underestimate you, you know. So I love going up and I just love it. I love their reaction.
Well, you play into it as well in the sense that but you ultimately undermine it.
Yeah, totally.
Did you study stand-up much? Did you?
No.
Where did you learn your
Nothing.
natural talents? That's a daft question.
Nothing. Mike Rice, he asked me to come on his podcast. This is before I ever did stand-up. And he asked me to come on his podcast. And it was during the pandemic, and I assumed it would be on Zoom. And he was like, no, I'm in Barcelona. And I was like, oh my God, amazing, you know. So I went and did his podcast, and he called me a comedian. And I was like, I'm not a comedian. And he was like, you are? He's like, you're not a stand-up, but you're a comedian, you're writing, you know, you're doing comedy. And I was like, yeah. And I just fancied him so much. And I don't usually fancy Irish men. I just fancied him so much. And I really wanted to...
What was attractive about him?
He's very talented. Like, he's a very talented man. And he's tall, which, look, at this age... He's tall, you know, and...
There's loads of people now just pressing pause on the telly.
He's crushing it. He's well known, like, he's well known. And he was mad to get me on stage, you know. And I was only hanging around with him because I was just, sharing yourself, like, I was like, would you ever fucking give up on this now? And...
You're dropping hints left, right and centre.
Hints, oh my God. A blind man could have seen it, for God's sake. I was weak for him when I think back of it now.
Oh, where's me top?
Yeah. Oh my good Lord above. It was nonsense.
And was he not interested?
Nah, no interest. Bastard.
And when did...
sorry, please.
And when did you realise that? When was the thing that...
No, from day dot. For sure, that only made... I had... This before I ever done therapy or any work on myself. So the fact that he was like, no, I was like, oh, yes, sir. Oh, you don't like me? Oh, here we go. He's not texting back. I'm going to go harder. Like, it was just that. I was young. You know, I was younger and sillier.
You don't like me. That's what you think.
Yeah. I was like, I'll make you change your mind. That's just a challenge, my friend. So we get to the open mic, and there just happened to be like a work group of like 15 Italians. And I speak Italian because I lived there for like 7 years. And he was like, you should go up. And I was like, yeah, I'll go up. And I was like, I'll just go up and speak in Italian. So I took a shot of whiskey and I went up and I just said in Italian, I was like, I just fancy your man so much and I'm just trying to impress him. So I'm just going to sit here. And they were skitting. Like, they were skitting. And I was like, so I'll just tell you a few bits and bobs here now. We'll have a good time. And later, when we're going at it, I'll think of you all, right? We'll all go do it. It'll be a group effort now. And we had a great crack. And I think I did like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I got off stage. He's like, oh, my God, you crushed it. And I was like, I crushed it. I'm so talented.
I remember being in a dressing room with you in Athlone, and you were standing up, and there was 4 men in their 50s sitting round on couches, sprawled like the defeated.
I was wearing a fur jacket and I was smoking a cigar. I remember it well, Tommy.
And I remember you were just talking about how men need to step up to the plate and how you were just after getting engaged, and I remember you said, I have high expectations, and he has something along the lines
I said, I run a tight ship, but I'll bring out the best in you.
Tell me about the rules of being Kyla Cobbler's boyfriend.
Boyfriend? Oh, my gosh.
What are the rules?
I think that I always say I'm not a teacher or a therapist.
You say this to you?
Yeah. I put them out like the 10 Commandments. No, there's no rules. I just want someone... I was single for 7 years, you know, and I was very happy. And I accepted that there would be no love. I thought that no love would come for me on a one-to-one. Because also, I'm very happy alone. Like, I'm genuine. I'm very solitude, very, very solitary person. And I got to like 32 or 33 and I was going on these dates and I was like, oh my God, like, I just can't. You know, I'm like, there's so much more to do in my life. Like, I just can't sit and do the chats. The Kyla Cobbler came from a date, that name. That's not my real name, obviously. Well, Cobbler, Kyla is my name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go, Tommy. Don't tell the revenue. My name is Michaela O'Connor. Yeah. And I was on the online dating and I used to tell people I was a cobbler. Just for the crack. I was in Italy, like, and I was like, I'm actually a cobbler. And the Italian, oh, this is so amazing. Wow.
And what were the Italian men like? Like, to a lot of people, that would sound as though they'd be ideal.
No, they're not.
Online. Why?
I just don't think they're just a bit. They're not used to. Irish women are, you know, Irish women are something like. You know what I mean? Where it's a matriarchy, you know? I'll never forget when I worked in pubs and stuff, and I'd go to the table and the wife and the husband and the kids, and then he'll have the half roast dinner and the Fanta. you know, and you're like, you're not even speaking. This is incredible. This is this tiny, tiny woman with her gin tonic, and she's the boss, you know. Like Ireland, I do feel is a bit of a matriarch in the household way, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so I used to tell people I was a cobbler all the time, why not, just for, you know, nonsense, bit of nonsense. And they loved it. And then one fella, I ended up texting him for like 6 weeks because I went on holiday and he went on holiday. And we finally met up on this date. And I'd forgotten I told him I was a cobbler. And he showed up and didn't he have a bag of broken shoes? Would you believe that? A bag of broken shoes. And I said to him, I was like, oh my God, Federico. I was like, I'm so sorry, it was only a bit of crack, it was only a bit of carry on. And he was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You're disloyal. I was like, who? The Guild of Cobblers? What are you talking about? Disloyal. You're disloyal. You're a liar. You're a liar. And I was like, right, well, this isn't going to work out anyway.
Are they? What kind of lovers are they?
They're just very.
Are they different to Irish lovers?
I'm trying to think the last time I bloody rode an Irishman. God almighty, I don't even know. The Italian men, do you know what? Because I was engaged to an Italian man, but I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
So I wasn't really the master of lovemaking either. No, I know that may shock you because of my confidence and my attitude towards things.
And your height.
Someone look at me and say, Christ, she'd be a fantastic lovemaker. Shit crack, terrible comedian, but great lovemaker. So yeah, I mean, and also because lovemaking comes with that, no, intimacy and vulnerability and everything else. Like,
Yeah.
That's what Picasso said, art and sex are the same thing.
Well, I suppose from an Irish man's point of view, you'd be thinking, oh, they're probably they all look so good, their skin is good.
But I'd be mortified. I used to be mortified. And they love doing things really slow, so even when they go to kiss you, they'd be like... And I was like, oh my God, just do it, please. Would you just fucking go on? I just can't. Like, I absolutely, honestly.
Just horse into me, please.
Just ride me. Just ride me. I hated it. I used to hate it as well when they'd be undressing you and just... Then you'd be sitting there like, I've got a hairy belly button. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, please. I come from a cold island. I'm furry.
So we've nothing to feel inferior about with the Italian men.
No, and these are a laugh. Irishmen are great. I love Irishmen. So they're such crack, like.
Yeah.
They're such crack. Irishmen are so fun. And they're protectors. They're warm. You know, I feel, in my experience, Irishmen.
Yeah.
They're warm, they're protectors, and, you know, they're just like big oak trees. They're rooted and they're, you know.
What kind of a role does the therapy thing play in your life?
Oh, therapy is I'm such a, like, therapy person as well. Like, therapy, yoga, meditation. That's what I think about living in Barcelona, the sunshine. Like, all these things they play such a big role in my life. Because I just feel like with therapy as well, people are so afraid of it. And I understand that because a bad therapist is like being held hostage. It's like a guy with a guitar at a house party. You're like, oh, no. Oh, here's Wonderwall. And you're sitting in the back of the room, you're like... But going to therapy teaches you that you are responsible. You are responsible. Like, there has to come in a certain point in your life where you take responsibility for how you navigate in the world. And you can either be angry or you can move with love. But to move with love, you need to look internally and you need to work on yourself. And that comes with therapy. So therapy just gives you tools in your toolbox.
Yeah. You have a sense of destiny, though, I think, do you?
I believe in faith, yeah. I believe in faith. I believe that if I show up, maybe that's why it seems that I'm quite, you know, driven, is because I believe if I keep showing up in the best way I can, no matter what that looks like, whether I'm sad, happy, you know, in a low place, in a high place, buzzing or not, I believe if I keep showing up and making choices from the right place, like a genuine place, that doors will open.
Do you have ambitions for the stand-up?
Yeah, I just want to do it everywhere. All over the place.
Keep galloping.
Keep galloping. I really do. I really want to just keep doing it. And I love doing it in all the different places. It's such crack. That's why I'm so strict with myself. I've got like hippie discipline. Because it does help me, the meditation and the therapy and the yoga. Like, it really helps. I don't know why, but it aligns me and it balances me. And it's something extraordinary what we do. You know? I mean, this time last year, I would have said to you, oh, do you want oat milk or almond milk in your coffee? Like, that's what I was doing. Can you believe that? That's incredible. And now I'm here.
Where can people see you do your stuff?
I'm going to be in the Olympia on the 20th of April, on Easter Sunday, in Dublin. And I think in Ireland, and then I'm going to be in a few of the festivals that I haven't announced yet and everything else. So I'll be around. On Kyla Cobbler Comedy, you can check out all my dates.
You're a very inspiring woman, and thanks for
You're a
coming.
very inspiring man.
Thanks for coming on to the show.
My pleasure. We crushed it.
Welcome back to the third half, everybody. Freddie, who's next?
Tommy, our next guest is Mr. Bill Whelan.
Now, Bill, how are you?
Asher, I'm good. How are you, Tommy?
We've never met.
We've never met.
We nearly met one time.
You were down in Roundstone.
In Roundstone, yeah.
In the pouring rain.
For something, yeah.
It rarely rains. I was really surprised.
Really? What are you up to these days?
At the moment, I am, well, right at this very moment, we have the 30th anniversary of Riverdance. So I've been, I'm going to New York. We're playing in Radio City Music Hall for the 30th anniversary, and it's part of a US tour.
Has the Riverdance moment passed, and did it pass a long time ago? A phenomenal piece of work. But has its, I'm sure it's still a phenomenal earner, but has its moment passed?
What do you mean?
That it seemed like an eruption at the time, something that had never been done, something which was almost very moving, actually. I remember being shaken and very moved by it. But things like that have a lifespan, you know, and for a creative person who goes, okay, I've made this phenomenon. Do I leave it behind?
Well, one does, I think. I mean, you leave it behind in one sense as soon as it's taken over by the performers, and in the case of Riverdance, the performers and the dancers. Once you hand the music over, obviously you stay and try to shepherd it in,
of course, yeah.
as best as you can. But what's been very interesting for me is not the moment itself was phenomenal. I mean, for all of us, it was. I mean, to many people, it seemed like maybe it was a moment. For me, as the writer and the composer, it started much earlier.
Of course.
It started with, well, without going too far back, but it started with my whole engagement with trad music, my engagement with Planksty, with Donal Lunny.
What's your musical history?
My musical history is growing up listening. My parents, I was an only kid. The house was full of music. My mother was a very good pianist. My father was a natural sort of, he played a harmonica, was completely self-taught. He used to play harmonica where he would play the harmonica with one hand, and we had a clothes, sort of a place where my mother stored clothes, and had a press, and he would bang the rhythms out on the press while playing the harmonica. That was his music. Then my mother would be playing Chopin and Beethoven. So my father, if you, I suppose, was
it a well-to-do family?
We were middle-class Limerick. We had a news agents. That's what we did. We had a shop. It sold everything from newspapers to jewellery.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, it was those days, and we didn't live over the shop, in fact, and they didn't meet and really get married until they were, you know, my father was 50 when I was born. Okay. So I had an older.
How old is your mum?
40. Yeah. So I just got in the door, really, and they were an older family, like everybody else's parents were kind of playing football and going out with them and doing, like my parents were in the shop and seemed older.
Why do you think they only had one kid?
Well, you know, she did have two. She lost one.
Okay.
So that was it, I think. She wasn't going to risk another at 42 years of age, you know.
Why did she decide that? Like,
Never spoke to her about it, Tommy. I don't know. I guess it must have been, there may have been some health issues that, you know. Then they both died, you know, in their 70s, in their early 70s. So a lot of my, shall we say, more higher profile career was lived without them.
Yeah.
It's a regret for me, you know, because they both loved music enormously. And it would have been a great thrill for them to live.
And you don't have brothers and sisters to share it with? So
No, I know. I had many aunts and uncles,
yeah.
you know.
But you had that thing if you wanted your mum and dad to...
Yeah, no, I didn't have that shared thing. In fact, growing up as an only kid in Limerick, it was interesting. You know, you know, people used to say, "Ah, sure, Jez, you got everything. Sure, you were grand." But in fact, you know, it was a mixture of, yes, that was, you know, and I got exposed to a lot of music. My father, like, he brought in everything from Dave Brubeck to Thelonious Monk to the Clancys. So the amount of music that I grew up listening to really pushed me towards that. And people like Dave Brubeck, even my father whacking out rhythms on the hot press, all of that gave me a real interest in one of the, I think, signature parts of my own compositional work, which is rhythmic. I was always taken by rhythmic complexity, always taken by jazz, you know, so... And from a very early age, I didn't see any borders. I didn't notice any borders in music.
Do you think about it much?
I do, and particularly at this time. I remember, because he would have died at the age, or a little younger than I am now. Mm. I do think of him a lot, and I think about him. You know, you know it as well, Tommy. You know, you think about that these are real persons that you had relationships with, and it's hard to think of those, what made up that person, that collection of habitual, learned brain behavior that made up that person and taught them to do what they did in life. And you think that has it been destroyed, or what has happened to that? Can that thing?
Is there anything of him left?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost, it's a travesty of our creation to think that would stop existing. That the beauty of that and the beauty and the sometimes not so beauty is part of it.
Is the only truth that we know is that he lives on through you, through a physical passing on of genes. And that's the only thing we know for sure, is that you have inherited DNA from him. And
exactly. And sometimes I look at I have 6 grandchildren now. Mm. And I look at them and I see echoes of him sometimes.
So there is a living on then?
Yeah, there is.
A physical one, yeah.
But it's yeah. His death and her death were both things that affected me enormously at this stage of my life, in the acceptance of death, actually. Just being with them. I was with both of them when they died. And they both had very peaceful deaths, and thankfully, I know people don't.
The acceptance of death, is it a languageless acceptance? There's no words to put the feelings into. Feelings about death don't come out in words.
I don't think so. But that's where music comes in. I remember one time, you know, one of the great things about my position in the work that I do is that I'm not often recognized. You know, in fact, I was a bit worried about coming on here tonight, but I'm not often recognized. So I
did you think I might have thought you played rugby for Ireland or something?
You could have thought. But no, I kind of you can. One of the things you can do. See, you can't do this.
No.
I can wander out into the foyer at the interval and nobody knows who I am, and I can hear people saying this. But once I remember being in London, and this couple came up to me and they said, "Excuse me, you're Mr. Whelan?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "We just want to thank you." And I said, "Oh, that's really nice." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "The slow air for the pipes in Riverdance," she said, "has helped my husband and I to grieve for our son who we lost." Now, can you imagine what that meant? Did I, when I was writing it and when we were recording it and when Davy Spillane was playing it originally, you know, were any of us thinking this is going to be helpful to some couple in, you know, Hammersmith? But it was.
Do you see any conflict between the kind of the thoroughbred business of Riverdance and its kind of relentless?
I know where you're going.
Yeah, and the soul of when it was created.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I do. Of course there's a conflict. They're completely different things. Like when I did Riverdance first, the original 7-minute piece for the Eurovision, Maya Doherty came to me and I had done, in the previous year, I had done The Spirit of Mayo, which had actually, as it turned out, Michael Flatley and Jean Butler in it. That was 1993. In 1992, I did the Seville Suite, which had Maria Paquez in it, and Irish dance and Spanish dance together. That was 92. Back in 81, I did Time Dance with Planxty. All of these were all leading up to something.
Yeah.
We'll come to the business and the music in a minute, but all of the stuff that I was doing when I was in this very building, learning so much of orchestration, how to work with small ensembles, larger ensembles.
Was that work with the RTE Concert Orchestra?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I was here. I was never employed by RTE, but I was contracted by RTE, and I was just thinking. Today I was up in makeup, and you wouldn't think it, but I was up in makeup, and it was just lovely to go back there again. And I spent so many hours in this building doing that, but it was all learning. I was in a university here. I had tutors like Noel Keelan, Jim Doherty, you know, the orchestra, Coleman Pierce, you know, all of the people who came through here. I learnt in this environment, you know.
Yeah.
But other things that I remember so well, I remember I worked for 5 years at the Abbey Theatre on the W.B. Yeats Festival. And there was an American director who came in called Jim Flannery. He came in to direct that. And whatever he did to me, I had to write these pieces of music for the theatre, for the plays. You know, Yeats, I wrote music for 15 Yeats plays. And I had to write all this music every year. And it was a lovely experience. And, you know, he would pick different themes each year, and he'd do like maybe 5 plays in one year, 3 plays in another year. And anyway, we did 15 of them. And I would sketch these pieces, and I'd do a little demo at home, and I'd bring them in. And I remember him listening to them, and I noticed him at one stage weeping. And he turned to me, you know, and he said, "You have a real skill with melody." He said, at structuring melody dramatically. I'd have been a long time here waiting to hear that from a fellow Irishman. And I say that with con amore.
With love.
Yeah. You know, because we've
I
other
thought that was a
things.
fancy way of saying Connemara for a minute.
Have we hit on something? Con amore. Anyway, but he said it, and he said, "You have a real gift for that." And I thought, oh. And somehow or other, that encouragement was so important to me that I remembered it. I remembered it for years afterwards. And when I wrote pieces, that voice echoed. And for me, what I brought to Riverdance was my sense of theatre, which I have, and my sense of presenting a piece of music that slowly, we started with Anuna and the choir, then we went into a slip jig, and then we built and we went into mixed rhythms, and then we went to a jig at the end, and then everything took off.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the business end of it, which is what you asked, that's a whole different thing. And when Riverdance happened, and when it became, and when I won a Grammy for it, and when it took off, I was under enormous pressure to do Riverdance 2. Because Riverdance 2, obviously Riverdance 1 was playing 3 companies around the world. Let's get Riverdance 2. And I resisted that. And I resisted it because what made Riverdance, the original Riverdance, could never, ever be repeated. And I hope you understand that.
Totally.
You know, that it's not... I remember the moments of writing all of that music, the 2 hours that made up the show. And it was coming out of somewhere. It had nothing to do with, let's make more money out of this.
Yeah.
It was that thing that you said you had an emotional response to, gave a hint that we could do a whole evening of that. The next thing I wrote after Riverdance was the Connemara Suite, a chamber piece for Zoe Conway and the Irish Chamber Orchestra. Nothing to do with pizzazz. And the pizzazz element of it, sometimes...
It's rewarding as well, and kind of, you know...
Yeah, it's theatre,
and
it's
real.
show.
Money is real.
Yeah.
You know...
The money, you know, a lot of people talk about the money, and sometimes as the person involved in creating the thing, the money, a lot of talk about the money used to get up my nose. You know, I thought, for fuck's sake, it's not just about that, it's about this.
Yeah, yeah. Do you still work?
Oh, yeah. For my 75th this year, I'm doing a concert in November with the National Symphony Orchestra, for which I'm writing a piece, a new piece. And I'm working with Seamus and Cuivo Flaherty from Carna. And that's one of the great joys, is seeing what's now coming, and what O'Riada back on, and Micheál O'Sullivan, and everyone, how everyone's handing on, and now ready to receive are these fantastic young musicians. Tara Howley, the piper, you know, and they're like we hear for the night mentioning so many young players, and that's been one of the great joys, actually.
We could go on and on and on, but we can't.
We can't.
Thanks for coming on and talking to me.
It's a pleasure.
It's been good yapping to you.
Thank you.
And there's more. I think there's more.
Okay. More.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Saw Doctors are back. They didn't tell me earlier on that they were playing with the RTE Concert Orchestra. But here they are, about to perform Same Old Town. Thanks for watching.